This topic is going to be on data sovereignty. And today I have Jasmine Brunson here with me, the owner of Rectify AI. I'm going to allow her to go ahead and introduce herself, tell you a little about who she is, what she does, and what is data sovereignty.
Excellent. So, first, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you all for the Web3 Crossover. At a high level, my name is Jasmine Brunson. I'm the CTO and co founder of Rectify AI. So, Rectify AI is a smart contract auditing company, and we specialize in Web3 security. So, at a high level, we find the bugs and vulnerabilities behind the code stack of cryptocurrency projects. So, that's typically decentralized finance projects that are EVM compatible. And I started that back in 2022. Moved to Austin around 2022 from Maryland originally. And we have investments from Pharrell Williams, Brett Fayez, Generator Cybersecurity, Tron Dow, and Rightside Capital. And the reason why I made the organization was, around the time where I was doing research as a database engineer for a DeFi insurance company in 2021, I noticed that the number one hack in the crypto space was smart contract vulnerabilities. And so I wanted to create a organization that focused on that and also help the protocols mitigate risk when it comes to, that attack layer. Bugs and vulnerabilities in smart contracts lead to $1 million to multi-million dollar hacks in the space. So I wanted to focus on really the protocols and then enable users to understand how to do their own research in the space.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I guess my question to you is, what does data sovereignty look like? Who owns most of our data today when we look at a lot of the social media platforms that we're currently using? How can we protect our data as well?
Mhm. So when I think of data sovereignty, I take a two-pronged approach. So data sovereignty by definition talks about how nation states govern our data as far as how we interact with applications, and then that data is sifted through a company, and then it's regulated through nation states and governments in jurisdictions that we are in. But the other side of it is data sovereignty as it pertains to us as users and having ownership in governing how that data is used across platforms, across applications, and across the world. And so I think that is the type of data sovereignty that we all care about and we all want to have ownership of, is really like how can I control how Instagram or how Facebook, how Twitter takes my data, ingests it, and then target ads at me, or decides to send reels to me to get me hooked on this habit. Maybe I can go from watching different types of like anime clips that it distracts me from my day-to-day work, or I can reprogram my algorithm to target fitness ads at me, and that makes me want to do more fitness. So, data sovereignty at a high level just talks about how we interact with applications and own our data from within.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I guess my next question is, maybe it's a little lengthy, but so we know that blockchain and Web3, they already kind of offer this promise of, um, I'll say freedom. I'll just say freedom, just to use that word. How would you say we can control our own data today? What is going to be the first step for us to be able to do that?
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where when I tell people to research blockchain, to research data, science, etc., they're like, Jazz, I'm not a tech person. I don't like technology. I'm in marketing, I'm in sales. And my point is, we're in a place in our society in this information age where you cannot afford not to do research on these things, on data privacy, on data science, on data analytics. So when I think about how people kind of navigate using applications and just data sovereignty in general, I just want folks to know like, hey, you're going to have to research what's going on with how companies interact with you on a data level. And the best way I tell people to protect themselves is to be the adversaries of the adversaries. I coined this back in 2022 when I spoke on a crypto AI panel at Consensus. And my point was that these companies do not care about really targeting bad ads at you or using your data double, your digital identity to make money. So what we have to do as users is kind of be the adversaries of the adversaries, where if I notice that my algorithm is toxic, it is deploying toxic content, I need to now start interacting with positive content so that, what's propagating on my Instagram feed, what's propagating on my Twitter feed is high level so that I don't fall into this abyss of, ruining my psychology and, taking what I interact with in the digital world and then permeating that in the real world.
I really do. I really do think that that's a really great point that you raised. I think sometimes we aren't always conscious of the different ads or how algorithm is actually targeting certain information towards us. So I guess my next question would be what would you say are some of the signals in the data that kind of help you to spot when our people are being targeted in
For sure.
malicious ways?
For sure. So, I was thinking about a while back, I had spoke at Youth Denver in 2024, and I had spoke about this issue where San Francisco tried to deploy this tool where they wanted to leverage machine learning and they wanted to basically police people using machine learning algorithms. Now we know within our community, we already have an issue with human police targeting our communities here in the United States. But what happens when the machine learning model is programmed to do that? We have to question who's building the model, what type of training data are they using? Is the training data going to be targeted more so at on black faces or white faces, or is it going to be like a good variance of types of people that are included in the training data? So I just try to read and look into what's going on in the daily news. I love reading articles from a gentleman named Bernard Marr um, pertaining to like what's happening in the data world in the information age. But it sometimes is in broad daylight, and then other times we just see it on the news. Like there was a case where this young man, I think a year ago, in a Baltimore public school, went into school and they were using this AI model to detect threat intelligence to see who's carrying a gun, who might be carrying something in their backpack, and this boy had a banana in his hand, and they targeted him and said that the machine learning model misclassified it and said that it was a gun. So they deployed police to, take this young man into custody, and he just has banana in his hand. But it just shows how, these technologies, these invasive technologies, if not primed properly and by the right people, can nefariously attack our communities and hurt us in places where we've already been hurt, but at a higher level.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's amazing that you pointed that out. I think it's important that we have control over these systems. We are also programming these systems. We can't just be on on the end and where we're just constantly being watched or we're constantly being like targeted when it comes to ads or like any sort of algorithms that are being built. So I guess I kind of want to bring it back to data science and what are some great ways in which you've seen data science be used for DAOs and cryptocurrency. Those are two things we kind of already discussed today. So I kind of want to know your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So, this is another reason why I love this space. And, I got into crypto back in like 2016 when I was a senior in high school. And I got into it by watching this movie called Dope, right? You guys seen Dope? So that's how I got into crypto. And, you know, the way I look at it is the blockchain itself is its own database. It's an immutable database, and it's already kind of leveraging high level kind of um data concepts. And so now with this inception of ChatGPT and you know crypto, the industry in itself just loving trends, we're seeing this integration between AI and cryptocurrency. And I just think with that in itself, we're going to see high level concepts come into kind of the crypto space where, maybe Oracle start using AI to increase the speed of the Oracle, or, even now we're using people are vibe coding and LLMs to build their own smart contracts. So there's a lot of applications for AI and data science on a development level, but also I would say even on the artistic level. We saw with the NFT run, people are leveraging different AI platforms, to create their own NFTs. And then there's a question of not censorship, but true ownership and true creativity.
Right.
So there's a lot of applications, and I just think that the future really it's going to be around the AI ML side, because crypto follows trends, and we're a trendy industry, and I'm super excited for where we're headed.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I think you threw out two words there that I think people should notate, and it's going to be oracles and vibe coding. Could you explain to everyone what both of those are?
Yeah, so um oracles are just storage systems where it communicates the real world to smart contracts. So smart contracts don't know like what's the weather today, but I can attach an oracle to a smart contract to let us know like, hey, okay, tomorrow is going to be 75 degrees, and maybe that information is useful for whatever project that developer is using that oracle for. And the main oracles that I use are like Chainlink oracles when I code, and Redstone. Redstone is a good protocol as well. And then vibe coding is just like using LLMs to build what you want to build. And a good LLM platform that I like to use for apps is V0.
What is an LLM?
A large language model. A large language model is a machine learning model where you can put in natural language to, ask the questions, and it gives us answers. It's a higher level than, Google, and there's different types of ways you can interact with the LLM. With LLMs, you can send prompts that have formatting that has examples, so you can derive better outputs. It's different types of ways where you can prompt the LLM to, give high level outputs. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So, based off of what she says today, can anybody give me an example of an LLM that they're possibly using today? ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Anybody else got anything? Claude Code. Claude, yes. Anybody got any others they're using today? Copilot. Copilot. There's several, but those are definitely, I would say, the top 10 for sure. Definitely. Let's see. Let's jump back in here. So I think you've highlighted some very interesting points so far. Now I want to know, how do you say, you mentioned how a lot of people are using decentralization as well as AI together. What would you say is one model that is being used today that you would say that everyone here should possibly be looking into?
For the integration of AI and crypto, or AI is like DeFi.
AI and crypto.
For AI and crypto. Yes. So okay, y'all, this I'm gonna give y'all some games. So it's this project. It's called ASI, and it's artificial super intelligence. And they conglomerated a couple crypto or AI crypto projects. One is Fetch AI, and then two others. And so I think that kind of syndicate in itself, they're going to be able to create some cool stuff in the future, because they're not only bringing one like team and protocol of developers, but three. So I'm super excited about what's coming out with them. I'm still waiting on kind of Change GPT to get some traction. I started to follow the project a couple years back, and they've done some successful things. They just launched their AI hub, which they have like these developer tools where you can like use for example, they have like a predictor protocol, and then also they have their own like Web3 LLM as well. So I thought ChatGPT was super cool. Like Web3 does need its own LLM, for Web3 native concepts. And then there's another project that's on the tip of my tongue. I said Fetch AI already. Singularity Net was the other was one of the companies under ASI. Um, yeah, those are the top ones. Oh, and Ocean Protocol. Ocean Protocol, the reason why I like them is because they actually have a syndicate for learning data science, and then also they have hackathons for data scientists. That was the first ever like crypto project that I saw that has, hackathons for, data scientists. And it's because AI and crypto got so hot, that integration got so hot after 2022, that new projects came out and said, we're going to create a safe space for data scientists to build and all sorts.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I guess I have two more questions for you here, and we'll go ahead and close things up. So my first question is, what metrics tell you whether or not Web3 and DeFi project is truly building community and wealth? for the community?
I love that you said that because for Rectify AI, I created a framework and it's open source on our GitHub, um, where I wanted to help people do their own research in this space. And uh, the number one thing that people asked me was, Jasmine, like, where do I start and what metrics do I look at? So I want people to know who are the project founders, um, who is the team, where is the team located, if you know. Is the team, do they have anonymous developers? That's important to know just in case they want a rug pull. What chain is it built off of? Is it a readable a reliable chain or not? Um, a token allocation, tokenomics, uh, quality of the documentation. That's going to be a telltale sign. If a project doesn't have quality documentation, you can probably guess that they're potentially going to rug pull, or have some type of insider hack. Because if your developers don't care enough to have clean docs, then why would you invest? And then also the white paper. I think that's one of the most fundamental things you can do is read the white paper. It's folks out here who have invested in Bitcoin and haven't read the Bitcoin white paper, or at least read that first column where it just says, hey, Bitcoin is peer-to-peer electronic cash. Like, it's really important to know the backbone of what went into developing this token, and not just, oh, I'm gonna invest in this because my friend told me so and he ended up making $10,000. You don't know if your friend is really your enemy and they want to sell on you and dump on you. You know what I mean? So those are some of the factors that I take in consideration. And then also, we're in the world of social media. If you can't follow that coin on your Twitter or Instagram, well, typically Twitter, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem. How are you going to interact with your community? And then does that coin or does that project have a community? So I just think it's important to have high level transparency as a protocol to ensure that the community feels secure. And also a telltale sign that I know that that protocol cares about folks is if they engage with them on Discord. I love when projects engage, even if they screw up. Say you just got hacked. You know what I mean? You had a smart contract vulnerability, it got exploited, you lost money, you were able to excavate as much money as possible, your protocol is still there. Are you communicating, hey, we screwed up, but we still want to be here in this space? And for those of you who want to stay with us, we're gonna keep kicking. So
Wow, wow. I think that was an abundance of information. I think that one thing people, they miss out when it comes to these sort of opportunities is understanding how they can get into a space like data science or cybersecurity. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about, how you got into this, and then also how, anyone who might be interested in it, how they can get into it?
yeah. So when I started coding when I was 16, so I knew I was gonna be a computer scientist. I knew I was gonna be an engineer. But something happened in college where I was like, man, coding is cool, building apps is cool, but it's something about data. It's something about I think I took a data science course, and I was like, it's something about data and building my own data visualizations and seeing my code come to life that makes me want to gravitate toward this major. And so I kind of pivoted and went from computer science to data science, and I don't regret it. And I'm glad I did because data science is one of those things where you can integrate it with just about anything, kind of like the blockchain. Like, you can integrate it with finance, financial analytics. You can integrate it with just marketing and, helping companies with targeted marketing and recommendations for cross selling. So I just thought that the world of data was going to be hot, and I was right. So I would say some resources that I would give to you all is like Kapl. If you want to get started, Kapl has a whole bunch of data sets, and then also code that you can kind of play with. And the main environment you can use is what's called Jupyter Notebooks, where you can take that code and do your own analysis. And YouTube University. If you want to YouTube University it and look up how to make a Jupyter notebook, that's a great way to start with the data science world. Regardless of what level of professionalism, whether you're a senior data scientist or you're chief data scientist, you're going to use Python Jupyter notebooks and Anaconda to build your frameworks, your machine learning models. Python and PyTorch, Keras, TensorFlow. These are all tools to build your own machine learning models, and it's all open source. YouTube University. So
Wow, wow. I know that's probably a mouthful. I couldn't say anything she just said 3 times fast. So I definitely want to open the floor up to anybody who might have any questions for her. So go ahead and answer that.
Uh, has your startup figured out a way? Is it working on a way, or just in general, do you see a way for the individual to kind of quantify their own data and kind of like monetize that with different platforms that are using it? Or is it just a matter of when you sign up for the terms and conditions, it's just you give the data away? Is there some kind of way to like own that data and get paid how it's getting used?
Oh, okay. So with my business, Rectify AI, that's a smart contract auditing company. So they don't specialize in kind of like what you're saying with like being sovereign over your data and ensuring like, hey, I want a percentage on how my data is used.
Okay.
That's not what we do.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Cool.
but I'm open to another question though. I don't want to shoot you down.
No, no. I mean, no, no. I mean, what do you think about that in general? Do you think
Yeah.
that's something that people should be concerned about, just in the concept of data?
Yeah, so now that I think of it, I actually have a colleague of mine. His name is Foster Ross, and he has an organization called Umi Economy. So you can check it out, umieconomy.com. Umi, like Umi says, UMI economy. And what they're doing with data sovereignty is they're creating frameworks and doing consulting and teaching people how to be sovereign over your data. How whether it's from food insecurity to health insecurity data, you know, they're building out these frameworks to, kind of gauge what's going to happen in the future. So I really enjoy what they're doing. I've sat in on several of their workshops, and I do think that we need to get to a space where like we can really get percentages and bonuses on the ideas that we create. Like, for example, in our community, we make everything hot. On TikTok, the like the Lululemon type of thing. So that Lululemon is not our brand, but there's a black woman out there that said Lululemon, and it became hot. So it's just like we create culture from scratch, but we don't get paid for it. So I do want to see a place where we can integrate the blockchain and integrate smart contracts where we can enforce like, hey, this is my IP. This is something that I created. This is a cultural artifact that I created. This phrase, the cadence of this phrase is something like that, so that we can, at least get some type of benefit from what we're creating from scratch. And then also proving the provenance of that using the blockchain. Like, hey, like, can I at least prove that I was the first person to say this phrase? So it's something important to me for sure. But Umi Economy, they're spearheading that type of work.
So what's the name of that again?
umieconomy.com. Yeah.
So you talked a lot about user data and data sovereignty. Like, if you could give like a short list of protocols for a consumer on like if you were just like teaching people how to protect themselves on social media.
Yeah. That's
What would that list include?
Yeah, so like first off, the terms and agreements are so long that we cannot like humanly read them, and it's done by that like that by design. It's like football feels long. So the way I like to have it, and it might be tedious, is like when you enter Instagram and it asks you like say you just downloaded Instagram and it immediately asks you, can I have your access for video and access to audio? I would say don't allow access to audio unless like you want to make a reel. Like somewhere where you need to use Instagram audio, like Instagram audio, you know what I mean, to make your own content. Don't allow it to access you because what's going to happen is you're going to just go ahead and give access, and then you're going to be randomly talking about something that you need to purchase one day, and then ads are going to pop up about that product or that thing. And if you feel as though that's invasive, you have an option audio or no audio, you know? So that's something that I also teach. And then I don't think it's fair to tell people like, hey, just don't use these platforms if you don't like the data privacy issues. I would say manage how you interact with the platform. Don't let the platform, lead you, because we're all in control. Our phone is just a tool, it's just a device, but it's stemming away the destiny of a lot of folks if they don't understand their true power as, a progenitor, so
I mean, I think, she's pretty much broken down a great way that we can all just go ahead and protect ourselves when we're using social media, whether that's Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever it may be. I do want to go ahead and give Jasmine the opportunity to tell you where she can find her, where you all can find her
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah. So in the crypto space, they know me as Bubbly Orca. So I'm Bubbly Orca on X. I'm also Bubbly Orca on GitHub. And then on Instagram, I'm Queen J Sahara. So you guys can check me out. And then also LinkedIn, Jasmine Brunson. You can connect with me after the talk. But yeah, thank you, Serge.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. Ooh. Awesome.